Well, we are going to leave this in the hands of Danny Briere, and I think for the most part we're all pretty big fans of what Danny has done with basically a year on the job now, and at least one person in the hockey world agrees, Charlie. Danny B got a single first place vote. I saw this in a tweet from Jordan Hall earlier. Danny B got one first place vote for the GM of the Year award, and do I think Danny Briere was the best GM in hockey this past year? No, because the best GM in hockey, like it's funny. Like Jim Nill wins it this year, and it's like in 2017 he had a fucking amazing draft, and
and also like Wyatt Johnson, Logan Stankovic.
They've done so much. It's just like it builds and builds, and it's like, oh, look at the job he's done up until this point.
The signing of Matt Duchene.
Yes, and honestly, that we've said might be like the best free agent signing of last summer. But they're also, we're probably gonna have to like buy out Ryan Suter, but who gives a shit because we're awesome. But Danny B gets one first place vote, and
it is funny that he got one single vote,
and it's a first.
And that voter was like, Danny, best GM in hockey.
And
he's got a fan somewhere.
This isn't this wasn't like, oh yeah, some local beat writer just voted for him, because this award is voted on by the 32 general managers across the league and a panel of executives and print and broadcast media members after the second round of the playoffs are done.
I think the broadcast media members are like the ones that are covering the teams that are still playing.
Okay.
Because I don't think that's my guess.
That's why they do it in the middle of the playoffs.
That's the way it usually is. Yeah, where it's like, oh, okay, like you're still around. Hey, would you be interested in voting on the GM award? Like, I don't think this is like they just have a bunch of faces up and they throw a dart and it's like, oh, I guess this year it's Michael Russo. Like, I think it's probably something like that, but I don't know for sure. I've certainly never been asked. I've never voted on this award.
No. You've never been around after the second round of the playoffs. But I just found that very funny. And one of the reasons maybe Danny received this vote, personally, I think it was either Kekalainen who gave him the vote. I bet you he's on the panel of executives because he's one of the 200 hockey men.
Does he get grandfathered in even though he's lost his job?
I bet you, because he's not one of the 32 GMs, but then there's a panel of executives across the league. Okay. And I bet they're like, you're on this panel of executives.
He's an ex-executive.
Yeah, he's one of the he's one of the 200 hockey men. He gets a vote.
Even though he's not the GM anymore.
It was either Yarmo or it was like Joe Sakic or whoever the GM is in Colorado. Because they're like, fuck. What did we give up for Sean Walker? And you see, like, the success he had in some of these trades. Like, listen, the Provorov trade, and then by extension of that, the Walker trade, went very well for Danny. Like, these things worked out real well for him. But one of the reasons he may have received this vote is his willingness to draft Matvei Michkov. And I see a tweet from Cam Robinson earlier. I've spoken to nearly a dozen teams about Ivan Demidov. To a person, everyone acknowledges he has some of the highest potential in the class, but no single team indicated they would feel secure taking him in the top 5. He's a slider candidate for sure. Charlie, could Danny be willing for a second year in a row to put a premium asset into an unknown, highly skilled Russian? Do you think, one, top 5 is different than top 10, top 12?
Exactly.
But maybe if he's sliding and everyone's like, we're not so sure. You do have 2 firsts. Maybe you can move up. Maybe you can make some things happen. Do you think if given the opportunity, they'd be willing to take the risk again on a second consecutive Russian winger?
Yeah, I think they would be willing to take the risk. I do not think he slips to 12. Could he slip to 8 or 9? And in that case, do the Flyers consider trading up? Maybe, but I don't think. I could be wrong. I was already starting to hear rumblings around this time last year that, the Flyers really
we were talking about this already.
Really like Matvei Michkov. That like, hey, maybe don't say who you heard it from, but if he's there, they're gonna friggin' take him. They love this guy. I just haven't heard that like they think Demidov is this amazing. Like, I'm sure they like him, and if he's at 12, I would expect him to be the pick. But I do not think they like him enough that they're gonna move up to get him. And I really don't think, even if he slides, I don't think he slides all the way to 12. That would be shocking to me.
Because with Michkov, and Michkov, the whole thing. I really appreciated you took a question in your free article about the actual pronunciation. I'm not going to know how to say it until JJ lets me know.
Yeah, there we go.
JJ is going to say it on a broadcast, and I'll go, that's right.
That's how we say it.
JJ is the most dedicated to getting the pronunciations
He is
right.
extremely dedicated.
And like all broadcasters take a ton of pride in like getting. I mean, Jesus, it's what you do.
Yeah.
I clearly don't have that motivation, and I acknowledge I'm just a moron. But like when JJ pronounces Matvei Michkov's name, that is how we will know for sure how to pronounce it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just. At this time last year, and then we hear like you're already telling us like. Yeah, they like Michkov.
Yeah, like this could actually happen. This is not fake. This is like if he's there, they're going to take him. I don't know if he's going to slip to 7, but if he's there, they'll take him. And then they did.
You just said I'm not sure they'd be willing to move up for Demidov. We heard after the fact, the Flyers called Montreal about 5.
Yeah,
and maybe they just wanted to get both picks, whatever it was, but they didn't want the opportunity to draft him past. Like they were getting Matvei Michkov.
Yeah.
If they had any say in the matter whatsoever, they were drafting him.
He was their guy.
That's not the case.
I just haven't heard anything.
Yeah.
And like you do, and granted.
And he's like a top 5 talent who they're at 12. They're not at 7.
Jackie from the Inquirer reported, and I heard this as well, that this is the week that the Flyers are doing their amateur scouting meetings. So this is when everybody comes into town and they really start putting together their list. They have the debates on like, okay, who do we like better? You know, the guys in certain regions pound the table for their guys they think are great. So it's possible that, you know, this stuff starts to come out next week after the Flyers put together a list and some people with loose lips start talking and then gossip starts going around the NHL world and you start hearing things. What I'll say about Michkov, is that I was starting to hear not like, hey, they had the scouting meetings and the consensus is Michkov's real good. It was they've been watching him all year and they fucking love him.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like, okay, this is not we came to the conclusion as a consensus group that we all like this guy. It was, no, like.
Danny's in love with this man.
We've been scouting him all year and we all agree he's amazing.
He came in and we played bubble hockey with him. He's our best friend.
Well, that was late.
Yeah, I know.
We all silly like the mayor.